Welcome to the Blind Loyalty Challenge. I am Amanda Cromhote from Truth Loyalty and the Blind Loyalty Trust. We interview world leaders in loyalty blindly. The challenge is about creating loyalty insight spontaneously and about a lot of fun. Simultaneously, it is about raising the awareness of the Blind Loyalty Trust, and 100% of the proceeds from my book, Blind Loyalty, 101 Loyalty Concepts Radically Simplified, go towards the trust. We hope you enjoy the Blind Loyalty Challenge. Today's Blind Loyalty Challenge is connecting Cape Town to Krakow. Krakow is the location for the head office of Comarch, and I have the absolute pleasure today of chatting to Wojciech, a good friend of mine. So Wojciech Kempny, he's the consulting director of GCC, Africa and Asia Pacific for Comarch. Wojciech, I cannot believe you haven't been on this yet, but so here we are.
Right. Thank you for having it. But I took part in at least one indirectly in one of your interviews, right? The one with Kuba and the baboon. Yeah, that was a memorable one.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here, of course. It's been a while, but very happy to be here.
For those who didn't see the interview I did with Jakob Sosha Kuba, he was at a wine farm when he was being interviewed, and we featured him in the top 10 actually when we issued for our 100th Blind Loyalty Challenge, because while we were interviewing him, a baboon jumped across the screen, but unfortunately I was speaking so you couldn't see it. And in the background you've got Wojciech running as fast as he can in the opposite direction. So hopefully I can see you in an office today. I don't think we're going to be...
Yeah, no baboons here, but you used my photos, so the audience got to see the actual baboon, yeah?
We did. It's brilliant. The best ever. Okay. Your first question is set by Lisa Brightwell, who I'm sure you know very well. And Lisa's question is, should members of a loyalty program have the right to own and monetize their own data that is collected?
Mm-hmm. Well, that would require a very specific type of concept of the loyalty program, which would, like by definition, not be an easy thing to do. I think that most loyalty programs that are being created would not look to do that, would not look for the actual members to monetize, because usually what we're looking in a loyalty program is for simplicity of use and understanding the whole concept. Yeah. In my experience, I've seen that many members of loyalty programs get disconnected when the complexity, and it doesn't even hit, high levels. Yeah, I'm talking about maybe going a bit off track, maybe, putting in one or two a bit more complicated schemas into the program, and many members can be disconnected. So it would have to be a very specific industry and a very specific concept that was created for a specific even segment or club within the program, if that were to work. But overall, for a mass market, I don't think I'd go that way.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's an interesting question, though. I love the question from Lisa.
It is, yeah.
Great, thank you. Nice response. I like it. Okay, my second question probably isn't a surprise to you, because I always circle back to this because it is absolutely one of my favorite conversations with you. So we've had many a conversation at our event in Cape Town, our loyalty event, about loyalty fraud. So there are two chapters in my book, Blind Loyalty, chapters 85 and 86 about loyalty fraud. In fact, it's the one and only, there are two subjects where I take two chapters when I've promised it would only be one chapter, and one of them is loyalty fraud. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite example of loyalty fraud? Is it a favorite? Maybe is the wrong.
I wanted to ask, what do you mean by favorite, right?
What is your best example of loyalty fraud that you've either experienced or seen as a professional in the industry?
I would say one is obviously, and I automatically remember that my vacation, my, filling the tank in my car, and the lady at the forecourt in the C-store where I was paying, and she swiped her own card, right? And we looked at each other. She knew, I knew, and all that. Yeah, but this is a very, I would say, common one because I've seen
Yeah.
it actually twice since then.
Yeah.
But this is a very easy thing to block, right? And this is a totally like must block situation from the perspective of a loyalty program. But there is another type of fraud, which is it's a more subtle one, and I don't think it's that common, and it's even sometimes difficult to call it fraud, right? You create a concept, and the more, of course, the more the program grows, it attracts maybe partners. There are many different types of offers and promotions, and then you've got that little segment of members who don't actually do fraud, but can so perfectly like analyze and look at the whole concept from a bird's eye view that they find the perfect and most profitable and incentivized, personalized, even doesn't cover it, customer journey. So they're not doing
Committing
fraud per
fraud.
se, they're not committing it. However, if you look at that particular member, he's your best like indicator of
Oh,
what you should change or close or tighten up in order not
yeah.
to be maybe giving away too much. Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
it's not friendly fraud, it's not common fraud, it's not fraud really, but in the end, in your
It's
KPIs, it might be in a way. Yeah. So that's
yes, and uh,
not obvious one.
we see that occasionally on a couple of the financial services programs in a market like South Africa, which has very advanced financial services rewards structures. And I sometimes sit in a boardroom, actually, even just talking to someone who's in a meeting about a restaurant and they are talking about the way they're using one of their financial services programs in a way that I've never heard. They have manipulated it to the extreme, but it's all legal. It's all within the rules of the
It's
program.
not
But
fraud, right?
I'm sure the program operators are toes are curling at the mere thought of
For
what they're
sure.
listening
Yeah, yeah,
to.
yeah.
But it's a great concept you've just said, and those every loyalty program operator needs to get hold of those individuals and learn from them because they would have thought of
Yes.
things we've never thought of.
Yeah.
Great. Love it. Okay, my last question again, I think is very straightforward for someone in your position, but it's really interesting, and that's why I wanted to ask you. So, chapter 94 of Blind Loyalty talks about KPIs. What is the most impactful KPI to measure, in your opinion, in the loyalty
Mhm.
world?
Um, there are many, right, that I could list, but if I'm that like the first one that comes to my mind is a combination of a couple of things. Um, if you have if you consciously have a tiered program and you know which tier is the most profitable one from your perspective, as in you are giving away benefits, but at the same time, you can see in your KPIs that this is the segment that is actually making you the most money and is actually being your brand ambassador, and it simply makes sense to incentivize your members to be there. So that combination of it's a very simple one, right? Not going into the super details of KPIs. Monitoring the progress and the progression of your members into that specific tier or club
Mm,
or scheme or whatever it is, right? Because they can be marketed in different ways, and therefore um, understanding that you are improving your income, your incremental revenue, and
yeah,
focusing on incentivizing the ones that actually bring value to your program, so they're happy with a bit of luck, but at the same time your KPI of the most profitable segment growing is the one that
stunning.
that you're happy with.
Nice. I've never heard that before. It's a nice view on it. That's why I love asking this question of folks who are really experienced because we get a different take on it. It's very nice.
Sure, there might be like a hundred different answers to that question, right?
Yeah, of course. But that's why it's so important. Super. Okay. As I knew you'd sail through the blind loyalty challenge, but I wanted to do it anyway. So, Volchek, who would you like to tag for us to interview in the future?
Well, I'd like to tag Maximilian Bylov, who is our new CEO of loyalty at Comark, and he has recently joined. And yes, we're very
Great.
excited to go on this loyalty journey with him. I'm tagging Max Bylov.
Super. Look forward to it, Max. Thank you, Wojciech. And a question, it might not be for Max because I can't always coordinate question with guests, but a
Sure, sure.
question, and you're super smart, so think of a really hard question. Then I don't
Now
get
this
into
is,
trouble.
but you see, now, do you want a difficult, hard question, or do you want a more fun question? Because I was thinking about what to ask. I've got two versions of my answer, right? Do you want the more
Give me both. Give me both.
both? Okay, number one. So let's start with the more difficult, maybe question, like taking into consideration what is happening with AI. And I remember I was talking about AI 2 years back at your event, and it still wasn't in that place where it is now. So my question right now would be for a loyalty professional, right? If so many things can be done with AI, what is the un-AIable part of your job that makes you keep your job? Yeah.
I love it. What's the unAIable?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
because this one might be, it might be a bit difficult just to answer someone and ask someone for him to answer live, him or her, of course.
Yeah,
And
nice.
this and the second one, which is more, on the lighter side, which is from your experience, whether in your loyalty program or simply among friends or wherever, what is the most irrational and or crazy behavior that you've seen from a member of any loyalty program in order to get that reward or get that upgrade or get that whatever? Yeah. What is the
Yeah, I love
craziest thing you have seen?
it.
Or
Stunning.
irrational, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful. I have to think about who to ask that from, actually. That would be a really good one. Okay, love it. Okay, Volchek, as I knew, it'd be a lovely conversation, but not just a lovely conversation, a very insightful loyalty conversation. So thank you for sharing your wisdom,
Thank
of
you.
which
My
there is
pleasure.
bucket loads. And it's great to have you at last on the Blind Loyalty Challenge.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.